Good day, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar broadcast from Acrolinx. Very exciting webcast that we have planned for today, and this is introducing Acrolinx 5.0. But before we get started, just a couple of things. One is that this session is being recorded. We also have slides available that you will be receiving an email from me tomorrow with all the follow-ups. And what we'll also be doing is asking you to send some questions to us. We love to answer your questions. So during the broadcast, feel free to enter those questions in the panel, and we'll address those once we finish with the webcast. So I'm now going to turn it over to Andrew Bradenkamp, who is the Acrolinx founder and CEO. And Andrew is going to begin with an introduction of Acrolinx 5.0. So Andrew, take it away.
Thanks, Deb. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. We've got a great session for you lined up. We have a whole bunch of people, experts in their fields, showing you the various bits and pieces, the fantastic new features we have, some really exciting new stuff. I think that is. Hesitate to use the word game-changing, but it really changes the way that Acrolinx can work inside big organizations. As you know, we're on a mission. We've had this tagline, "Speak with one voice," for a long time. And as we look at that, and as we are successful inside organizations, and as Acrolinx starts to spread across those organizations, we've seen time and again that the challenges that are faced with spreading spreading the technology across the organization. So I wanted to talk a little bit. We'll have the way this is going to be structured is we're going to have people from the team talk around the five individual topics, the five great new high-level kind of features that we're bringing out in 5.0. It's a .0 release for a reason. It's really earned that with these great new features we have. So we'll go through those and demo those to give you a feeling for what they look like. But I wanted to just start with some high-level thinking around what's inspired us in this release, what's made us kind of what's been the drivers behind what we've done. And so the big themes for this call are really about this kind of idea of how do we get this speak with one voice idea to really work inside large organizations, the kinds of organizations we typically work with. So we wanted to think about three things. The first thing is really around scale and how to make sure that we can quickly get new teams and parts of organizations working quickly. In order to do that, we've done a lot of work in thinking what are the typical roadblocks in getting stuff done quickly and getting new teams up and running quickly, and getting a foothold into those parts of the organization, and to make sure that we focus on delivering value as quickly as possible. So, how can you make sure that you get value from day one of using the platform, and then gradually gets better over time? How can we remove all those roadblocks? So there's a lot of work's gone into helping us scale quickly and scale effectively as you try to broaden your deployments inside the organization. And related to that is this idea of how can we improve the reach of the platform. Obviously, we bring value most effectively when we directly provide guidance and feedback to the content creators. And in order to do that, we need to provide the service that we provide wherever they're creating content, and that obviously means a lot of integrations. We support over 30, and the range of integrations that we provide keeps growing. That reach is really important to us, to allow people to not to change what they do, but just to have this service available to them wherever they're currently working. So the reach thing is going to be a story about how new types of integrations that we're showing, and I think also related to that is really this drive towards making that experience inside the tools where you create content to make that user experience more even more friendly and helpful. So we've changed the models that we use to provide the guidance, and we'll show you a few new integrations and show you how those work, but also in the style that we interact with people. A lot has changed there. So usability is not just the software side of things, but also the style, the tone of voice of the product has changed a little bit. Our personality has changed a little bit to become more kind of a little bit more modern. Following initiatives that we see in the industry and that we're helping our customers with in moving to a more conversational, a more friendly, a more human interaction. This is not just about software; it's also about the guidance that the platform gives you. As we roll this out to new teams who are maybe not full-time writers, who are maybe people who occasionally come in or need to use the product as part of what they do, we need to provide a really zippy, really comfortable experience, and that's changed the way that we design that user experience. We've also worked on the on the admin side. So even full-time writers who live with us every day, I think will benefit from will certainly benefit from a more a more comfortable way of interacting with the services that we provide, the guidance that we provide, especially. So they're the three big topics that have inspired us in this release, and I think hopefully you'll see those clearly in the 5 features that we're now going to walk you through. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to hand over to Philip, who I think will briefly introduce himself, but we'll kick off the in-depth look at this.
Thank you, Andrew. So my name is Philip Offerman. I'm a senior product manager at Acrolinx. And before we start looking into the individual features, there's one thing which I want to present before. It's our new product terminology. And so what's driving that? What do we try to do here? We've seen in the industry that usually the tone of voice changes of how software systems interact with people and how really the interaction works. And also we see that we are changing our software in a way to be more helpful, more friendly, to be more on the guidance and less on the strict rules side of things. And that led us to the conclusion that we have to change the terminology we are using in the product and how we call things to be, first of all, more accessible to users who don't have so much experience with natural language processing and linguistics, and also to better present what these functions are actually doing and where these functions are moving to and what they will be doing in the future. And you will see some of these in the rest of the presentation of where we are going. So for that reason, we change some of the core names we're using in our software. And I just want to go through all these major changes so that you know how things are called now. We'll also be using this new terminology throughout the rest of the webinar. So it's kind of important to introduce it right now at the beginning. So let's have a look here at the slide. You see at the top we have the guideline. That's what formerly has been called a rule. And as I said, we want to be more helpful, more friendly. So really the rule was too strict of a name for what we're really doing here. So we rename it into a guideline, which also better represents that it's not something you definitely have to do, but it's more something of a choice where you can decide, okay, and that's a guideline. I could do it, but I can decide not to do it. and you'll see how this really plays into how the product works later on with the voice guidance specifically. These guidelines, then, they are grouped into writing guides, what was before called rule sets. So the writing guides, a writing guide would be something like writing guide for marketing, writing guide for support, for training, writing guide for technical documentation, for UI strings. And the writing guide is then a group of rules which work together to provide the guidance for a specific target audience or a specific topic area you might have. So basically the writing guide is what you would be using to check the document. When you do a check of a document, you decide on which writing guide to use, a marketing writing guide, a support writing guide, and so on. And then finally, the guidance package was before it was called linguistic resources. It's really what we deliver to our customers as the customer-specific package. And that would include a set of writing guides, because usually you have more than one writing guide in place. So these get grouped into the guidance package. The guidance package can contain more than that. It can contain dictionaries, can contain a sample terminology database, or other customizations. All of these would go into the guidance package. So that's really what contains everything that makes the whole linguistic processing work and what makes the engine so powerful. Now, we have these guidance packages then usually for specific customers. So you, if you're an existing customer, you probably have your own guidance package. So for example, here the smart tech company would want to do UI string checking, so they'd have a writing guide for that, which contains the guidelines. Similarly, the Topspin company would have a different guidance package with their own writing guides inside. We have now also created for the first time a general guidance package, which is not customer specific. And I'll come to the details in a second. But it just shows that there are customer specific guidance packages and also generalized guidance packages, which can be used for an out-of-the-box experience. So to summarize, just so that you know what we used to say, the linguistic resources. That's now called the guidance package. It's what groups everything together. Similarly, the resources are now called the guidance. Now, inside the linguistic resources, there were the rule sets. They're now the writing guides. So the guidance package contains the writing guides. The rule set contains a number of rules which are active or active in a certain context. These are now the guidelines. So the guidelines are now contained in the writing guide. And finally, our main score, we used to call it the quality score, but it wasn't. It was used a bit in different ways, and we're now unifying that, and it's the Acrolinx score. So the main score you're seeing in the sidebar in the scorecard is the Acrolinx score, and we'll call that that way. So that's to conclude on the new product terminology, and yeah, we hope to make it more accessible and more simple to use and better reflect what we're actually doing in our product. So we think that's really a step forward in getting it less technical and more as a general usage product. Now, I mentioned we have created the Acrolinx Essentials guidance package. So I just want to go into detail about what's that, because it's actually a big thing. We did. It's new for us. It's the first time we've done a thing like that. Have an out-of-the-box guidance package. And what we did is we looked at the best practices from hundreds of customers. We looked on guidance on how these should be done, what other people are doing, and we optimized Essentials guidance package on lots of content which we had available to make it really work perfectly out of the box. So why did we do that? We wanted to have something to help you get up and running quickly, because until now, creating the custom guidance package was really a manual effort and required quite a lot of professional services. Then you could have your customized rules, but these was really quite some effort to get all of that up and running, and especially to get the whole system running in a way that you don't see too many non-issues showing up in the guidance. So the essentials do not contain all the guidelines we have. It's really the essential package, so it can't do everything a regular guidance package can do. But we optimized it for conversational content, for example, for marketing and support content. And that's also the type of content we use to really try it out ourselves to see if it works perfectly. And so that's what it's optimized for. And it can be applied to any type of content. It's not so specific to a certain type of content, which helps in quite a wide range of different situations where you just want to quickly check something and get good in checking results. Perhaps not perfect, but good enough and with very little effort involved. Also, the Acrolinx Essentials guidance package features our new brighter tone of voice. It's more helpful, it's more friendly. We'll have a detailed look in a second. So who is it for? We had different target groups in mind. First of all, obviously, new Acrolinx users, because that, with the Acrolinx Essentials guidance package, you can just install it and you can start using it right away. Perhaps you might want to run through the guidance wizard, which Peter will present in a second, but there's very little involvement from professional services to get up and running. This can also be helpful if you're an existing customer to onboard new groups or new departments who might not want to use the existing writing guides, but need something different, and you want to get them up and running quickly. And especially if it's about checking a general non-specialized content, this is really a great starting point. It might perhaps even be sufficient to really achieve what you want to achieve. So in any case, the Acrolinx Essentials helps you to get started, and you can always switch to a custom guidelines later on. You can switch to a custom-made guidance package with custom rules once you're ready to switch over. So so it can, if you don't want to stay on the Essentials because it's just not enough and does do perhaps 80%, but you want to get to 95%, then you can switch to the custom guidance package later on at any point in time. Yeah. So let's have a quick look how it looks like. I have Word open here, and I have the sidebar open. And if you haven't seen that yet, all our new integrations are based on the sidebar, and Olivia will go into the details how it works later on. It's integrated in Word here on the right-hand side. I already did a check of my blog article I have open here. And you see all the guidance inside the cards, and you see our new style for the guidance. You see here it's more based on questions, on being helpful, shorten this title, or typo perhaps. So should this verb be singular or plural? And then I can click on the card, it would highlight it where I can look, and then I can decide, okay, is this guidance helpful? Do I want to do it or not? Of course, I can replace it with a simple click if I want to accept that correction. And so I can just go through through my document and through all the cards. So I think you see here how our new tone of voice sounds like. It's more open, more friendly, more modern. Yeah, and that's that for the Acrolinx Essentials. So if you're interested in using it, if you think you have a user group or a new group who might want to get up and running quickly with that, or if you're a new customer, yeah, just ask for the Acrolinx Essentials, and you will be ready to go in very little time. With that, I will hand over to Peter, who will present you the guidance with it, which will also help you quite a lot on getting up and running quickly.
Thank you, Philip. Hello, everyone. My name is Peter. I'm a product manager for natural language processing here at Acrolinx. And as Philip said, I want to show you two new additions to Acrolinx. The first one is the guidance with it, and the second one will be the voice guidance. So the guidance with it is a new tool built into Acrolinx, and this tool will help you optimize your guidance in a very quick and efficient way. We try to tackle two challenges which you generally have when you work just with guidelines in general. The first one is there will be new words which might be unknown to the system, maybe a new product name, or you just have started with a new instance, for example, together with the Essentials package. So you want to have a quick and easy way to add all these new words to your terminology. And the second one is also not only handle the words, but handle also the guidance. Some of them might need a bit of tuning to your content, because every content and everyone is having their own style, or at least want to have their own style. And this is actually a good way of modifying your Acrolinx so that the guidelines on the guidance you get is actually the one you want. So, and the scenarios we are in here is basically it's a very nice tool to actually get started. If you have no terminology, for example, it's very easy to add new ones. With the guidance wizard, we provided a good insight in where your terminology or the unknown words will be found, so you can have a deeper look and then make decisions on that. And also, it's also very relevant for existing installations. Maybe you have a system already running for 1, 2, 3 or more years, and you want to process this already known data and want to tune your system according to that. So how does a guidance with that actually work? What we are doing is, as I said, we accessing all the information, all the data, which is collected by just checking with Acrolinx. So in an existing installation, you will already have that, and if you start up, you can get that very quickly by just checking some of your documents, which you think are a good starting point. And with this, the guidance wizard itself will do some processing and then will highlight and helps you manage, for example, your frequent guidance you get. Maybe some of the guidelines we have are not, you don't want that. You might turn it off or might modify it to specific contents. And as I said, it will give you an easy way to add new words to your terminology. But let's have a look at a scenario which you would easily encounter. I have prepared a demo in which I have installed a fairly fresh system. I'm using the Acrolinx Essentials package, and I just open one of our documents, and now let's check that. And you will see after the check is finished that I will get some guidance from the system. Some of them I might agree. Some of them, like you see here, the SmartTech. SmartTech is our imaginary company, but it's actually it's a term. So we want to have that in our database, so that first of all, Acrolinx is not continually pointing us to this, and second, that we have it in our terminology, and that we maybe can decide to change it later and make it easier. And another thing I want to point you, there's just for the sake of demo, there's a missing period, or at least the system tells me that, and I might disagree on that case. So let's have a look how all this data actually is fed into the guidance wizard. The guidance wizard is a part of the Acrolinx dashboard, and you can find it under guidance wizard, and you will see all the available languages you have for checking. So every language you can check will be displayed here, and you can find some easy information about how many issues are actually looked at when starting the guidance wizard. As I mentioned, this is a fairly fresh instance. In instance which run a bit longer and have more checks, you will easily get 1,000 or 2 issues in total, and the system will actually try to combine issues, and so that you don't have to go through too many things. But let's start the one for English. Now the guidance wizard will calculate, will apply some algorithm to clean up and summarize things. Obviously, for small amounts of data, this is very quick. You can see 2 sections which you can actually go into and change and tune. The first is fine-tuning the words for English. Let's just jump into that. So here you see an overview. The words are ordered always. You can change it, but the starting point is always ordered by frequency, because especially for terminology, the frequent terms or the frequent words are most likely the ones you want to have a look at, these are most likely also terminology you want to add to. So you see here the individual words or the individual surfaces we found. Here you see the count or the frequency. Here are the actions which you can apply to that, and this is this confirmed is just an indication if you already have looked at this or not. The actions are as follows. You can either choose to add this this word right there to your terminology. You can also choose to not flag it anymore, but don't really add it to your terminology, because maybe it's just a city name which we don't know, so you can just add it to your dictionary. And the third option obviously is keep it as it is, as a spelling error, so that that Acrolinx will still guide your users to correct that. For the sake of the demo, I will add the first 3 as terminology, and I just apply the changes. Now you would have the option to just add the confirmed words to your system and continue later, but I just want to close it for now and be done with it. Okay, let's have a look at the guidance. Here also you get a pretty similar overview. So if you are familiar with the first one, this is easy to oversee. So you have also this time the names of the guidance of the guidelines we provide. This is again the count and the actions. And if you have a look at the right side of the screen, you see always one usage example. We find it very helpful to make decisions on actually examples from checks or from the past. And if this one example is not enough, you can have a look at basically all the occurrences. Here you see the sentence, if the sentence is a bit too long, or you also see here a different one where we complain or where we think there should be a period. Together with that, you get even more information, and this is context information. You see where this in the document structure was actually found. That gives you more action. First, it gives you more context. So where was that? Was it in a table? Was it in a title? Where was it found in the document? The second one, this is also valuable information because you can actually now restrict or refrain certain rules from specific context. And for that one, actually, in our documents, we had this sentence. It's a subtitle, and we want to exclude the rule or the guideline for the subtitle. So let's do that. Let's select subtitle. You already see it's excluded for list and title, but we missed subtitle. Okay, fair enough. And the next one is we have quite a lot of sentences which seem to be too long. Maybe it's our style. Maybe we want to use longer sentence. Let's have an overview over our usage of longer sentence. Okay, we see we have we kind of are here, so let's just raise the limit a bit. There you go. You can do that for all the guidelines, of course, but I will now just apply that to the system and get it right into. Just one little thing. Here you see that we actually already have added all the terms to the terminology database. And now I want to just deploy my changes to the language server and do a check. So let's go back to the to Word and let's have a check. And there you go. All of the issues which we didn't like so much, the terminology is added to a database, and now you can continue work. And we actually the guidance with it is designed to not only work once, but we think it is a nice feature to just continue to use and maintain your system. And with that, I want to go to the second feature, which we will introduce in 5.0, and this is voice guidance. So voice guidance is voice guidance for clarity, actually, is a step further, which we took and we built basically on what we already had. We had a clarity for which we could score, but we thought it wasn't enough. We thought we need to add to that, and what we introduce here is actually having guidance on a clarity, and so the system will help you improve the general clarity of your documents. And this is different to other metrics you might know. You might have heard of the flash reading ease, which is for what it is a quite good metric of measuring a specific use case of how it might be accepted by the user. But the score doesn't help you improve the content, and that's what we're doing here. And also, if you think in many areas you might go in less structured documents where you have less fixed rules about this has to be exactly like this, or this has to be exactly structured like this. With voice guidance, we actually can tackle this and can provide not only one suggestion, but suggest multiple ways how to fix a problem with your clarity. So the voice guidance is built on the Acrolinx voice score, and takes it further and actually adds guidance, which will be available like all the other guidance we have in the sidebar while editing the documents. The voice guidance will be based on targets you select. So you actually can select the degree of clarity you want to express. It's not always, I mean, it's not always your target to have the most clearest text, because sometimes you need to express some more complex situations, or even that is your voice. You don't want to seem like having very easy to understand, but you might want to sound a bit more elaborate, or you just decide to be very clear. You can select the targets, and based on their targets, the voice guidance is helping the authors to improve the text. Another feature or another change from the Acrolinx voice score is actually that the voice guidance influences or impacts the Acrolinx score itself. Meaning, if you don't hit your target, if the document is not up to par in regards to voice guidance, so in regards to clarity, for example, your Acrolinx score cannot reach the highest number. So with that, including that, the Acrolinx score is now a much better indicator of the content quality of individual documents. As I said, we offer suggestions for improvement, and voice guidance for clarity will be available for Acrolinx 5.0, and we will add other guidance for other dimensions later. How we're doing this, just some points. We analyze the entire document and try to find out the points in the document which have the most impact if you correct them. So more or less, we try to find the worst offenders, and then we point to that section and give you some hints how to improve that. Let's have a look at a screen how this would look in a editor-like Word. You see here, this is the same document from right now, and you see here in the sidebar you have a bigger entry than the other ones because we need to provide a bit more information for the guidance, for the voice guidance, and we just found that this sentence you have here could be easier to understand, or is a bit confusing. And since this is not black and white, and you always have can apply multiple strategies how to improve clarity for a sentence like this, we also provide all the different ways you can actually follow. So you could just look into these long words and maybe decide to use shorter alternatives, or you'd split up the sentence. Maybe you cannot do that. Maybe you need to rearrange, and so on. So we actually try to pinpoint some ways to follow up and hope that we give guidance to the authors who then can concentrate on really making the content as clear as you need them. That is voice guidance. If you have questions, of course, I'm happy to answer it later. But with that, I give it over to Olivia, which will show you the content analyzer and I think some insights in new integrations. Up to you.
Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome.
Yeah, as Peter said, I would like to show you the content analyzer and a few of the integrations that we've been working on. So first off, what is the content analyzer? The new content analyzer will replace the old batch checker, if you're familiar with that. And what is the content analyzer for? At a high level, it provides governance at scale. It allows you to check files on your local computer or content from your website or any website and get an overview of the content quality. And this is good for a few things. So this will allow you to improve certain business processes, to make decisions about, for instance, when content might be ready for publishing or printing. In addition, you can also check a lot of content for improving your guidance with the guidance wizard, as Peter just showed. A few of the highlights of the content analyzer: we'll be providing installers for both Mac OS X and Windows, and the user experience will look great on both Windows and Mac. Previously, the batch checker was a little bit old-fashioned. In addition, the content analysis report will be available in a tabular format, so you can open that in Excel. That's something that a lot of people have requested. And with that, I think I'll jump right into the demo. Can you see my screen? Wait a second. Okay. Okay. So this is the content analyzer, and looks similar to the batch checker, but it's completely redone. As you can see, it's looks beautiful on a Mac, and I can check either files or any number of folders using this first selection, or add websites. So for the purpose of the demo, I'll just show selecting some websites, and these are just HTML files. On the options section here, I have the familiar selection for the language, the writing guide, and the different types, the different option types you want to check for, and term sets, of course. Clicking Find Content loads the files from my local computer. And as you see here, these are HTML. In addition to HTML, the content analyzer can also check text, XML, and PDF files. Clicking Check starts the check, and as you see, since this is a batch process, it'll check one file at a time and give you results of those as they become available. For the purpose of the demo here, I will skip over to the final content analysis report. You do already see that you can get a highlight of the results in this view, but assuming I've finished and generated the report, you see I get a complete Excel view of the finalized checking results. And what's different here is I can open, from the batch checkers, I can open the results in an Excel spreadsheet. This means that I can play with the data a little bit as I choose. You see I have here information about the Acrolinx score, the number of words, sentences, etc., the issue types that were found in counts, and in addition, the voice score information. I can also optionally open individual scorecards in a separate browser to view those if I choose. And I can use the filtering and the sorting in Excel to work with the data as I please. And this is about it for the content analyzer. So in addition to the content analyzer, we've been working on a lot of different sidebar edition integrations. And our motto has always been to try to integrate Acrolinx everywhere where content is written. And you see here a selection of logos that we've chosen, which represent all of the sidebar integrations that we've been working on. The availability of these new integrations that I will mention now will all be available as part of Acrolinx 5. To start with, we've heard all of the requests from a lot of customers for more Mac support. So just in case you haven't heard from the more recent releases earlier this year, we do already have and are improving on Microsoft Office sidebar edition integrations for Word, Outlook, PowerPoint, and coming soon as part of Acrolinx 5 is a desktop checker for Mac. Some of you might be familiar with the Windows Classic edition of the desktop checker that allows you to check plain text from any other application that you copy into your clipboard. It will be a similar product, but available on Mac. Google add-ons. You can already get now Acrolinx add-ons for both Docs and Sheets directly in the public Google Web Store. We're also working on getting these available in the marketplace. Adobe Creative Cloud. We're working on a sidebar add-on for Adobe Creative Cloud 2015. The Acrolinx for Creative Cloud add-on will support both InDesign and InCopy, and will run on both Windows and Mac. And you'll be able to install and update the add-on from the Creative Cloud application on your desktop. So similar to the way that you can get Google Docs from the Google Store, Adobe also has the Creative Cloud application for installing plugins directly from that cloud platform. In terms of Acrolinx browser extensions, we've gotten lots of requests for Acrolinx for any number of web integrations. Customers ask us all the time, can you have an Acrolinx integration for this specific web application? We won't ever be able to integrate with every possible web application, so we're finding strategies to provide other solutions, and one of these is in the form of Acrolinx extensions for Chrome and Firefox browsers. And you will be able to use the Sidebar Edition browser extensions to check any active fields in your web application. So if you have anything that you're working with in a browser and you're in edit mode and there's content in there that you want to check, the Firefox and Chrome browser extensions will be able to check that for you, and those will also be based on the sidebar. The Adobe Experience Manager, AEM, we have a new Sidebar Edition integration that will support AEM version 6.2 and work with the Touch UI. So this is the latest version that Adobe has come out with. You can check an entire page and edit content from the sidebar. So again, this is another sidebar integration. And WordPress, we've already released the new Acrolinx Sidebar Edition to work with the latest version of WordPress, which is up to version 4.52 now. And I'll show a short demo of that in a minute. But the message here should really be that the addition of all these sidebar integrations allows us to add new functionality like the voice guidance support, which Peter mentioned earlier, to any number of integrations with one release. So the sidebar allows us to get new functionality to you quicker in any number of authoring environments. So now I'll switch over to the WordPress demo. And okay. So this is WordPress. This is the latest version of WordPress, and I would like to show the use case of if I'm a content marketing writer and I would like to publish a new blog post, for example. I've got some drafts here, one that's already been corrected at the top, but I'll take this draft here at the bottom, and I can open that in the typical way that I would work in WordPress, and I see here on the right-hand side the Acrolinx sidebar. This is just in the widget panel here where other plugins are available. And in case you haven't seen the Acrolinx sidebar before, just to show a few of the basic functionalities, there's also an options tab here like you would see in other Classic Edition plugins, and you can set the options as you would in any Acrolinx integration. And I click check here to start the check, and I get all of the results in the sidebar in the form of these cards. And I can scroll through, click on the cards to navigate to the position in the document, click directly on the suggestions to correct those issues, and this is the sidebar integration for WordPress. With that, I'll send the presentation back over to you, Deb.
Thank you very much, Olivia. So before we close out and before we get to the Q&A, I'm happy to announce that we have announced the dates for Content Connections 2016. So mark your calendars for November 1st for North America, November 2nd for anybody that wants to join our DE German version, and November 3rd for our EMEA version. As you can see here, I'm not going to read this, but we have an incredible lineup of presenters this year. Ann Hanley, Joe Palizzi, Doug Kessler, Jeff Bullis. The list goes on and on. So if you haven't already registered, feel free to jump onto our website at acrolinx.com and register for Content Connections 2016. I hope that everybody can stick around for the questions. We did have several questions come in during this presentation. So I'm going to begin to pose these to our presenters, and hopefully we'll have time to finish going through the questions. If not, we will definitely follow up with you via email. So the first question is, when will Acrolinx 5.0 be available, and what languages will it support when it launches? So, Philip, I think this question is for you.
Yeah, thanks, Steph. So Acrolinx 5.0 will be released end of July. So that's our release date. So it's 1 more month. You'll have to wait for that stuff. And we'll release it with the usual languages, on the user interface, and for checking, we have English, obviously, German, Japanese, French, Swedish, and Chinese for the checking. And one important thing to note, the Acrolinx Essentials package is available for English and German only. So we only have that for these 2 languages, English and German.
Thank you. And Philip, looked like this might be another question for you as well. It sounds like an installation can have multiple guidance packages with 5.0. Would that be the equivalent of having multiple Lingware packages in the same organization?
No, you can only have one guidance package, but in the guidance package you can have multiple writing guides. So if that's the question, how you would combine that, for example, the Acrolinx Essentials guidance package contains the writing guides in the different languages. So you could also have these writing guides in the custom-made guidance package. But you can only have one guidance package installed per server.
Thank you. Peter, looks like this question is for you. If you could please explain clarity versus readability.
Oh, sure. We developed clarity based off the assumption that the existing readability measurements you have out there, like flash reading ease, but also like SMOC or whatever you found there, is not up to par, because we think it's more than just the basic counting characters in a word and in a sentence, but also include the idea of looking at sentence structures and combination of words and so on. So we just found that readability is just a part of a complex you want to achieve, and this is basically clarity for the user to understand the content you have, and clarity for you to express yourself. So that's why we decided to not call readability clarity, but actually make a clarity and differentiate from pure readability.
Thank you. And Olivia, looks like I have several questions for you. So the first one is, will the WordPress add-on for Acrolinx be available from WordPress hosted plugins or only for local installations of WordPress?
Yes, the Acrolinx for WordPress will be available for hosted as well as local installations. So we provide a zip file, so you have to get the plugin from Acrolinx, and you can install it the typical way you would any plugin in the WordPress configuration page, and that will work for either the hosted or the local store installation, and all of the configuration is done in a UI page. So there's a easy to use UI page there, and it's all very simple, and it's all documented and already available. So ask us if you want to get it.
Okay, and with the content analyzer replacing the batch checker, will that be compatible with the command line checker?
I'm not sure I understand the question. So the batch checker actually works completely independently of the command line checker. So to be honest, the content analyzer is more similar to the command line checker than the batch checker. The batch checker is based on very old technology, and yeah, for us those are two separate things. So they don't run together at all. If you have more questions about the command line checker, that's usually a separate conversation. So the command line checker you use to do the same kinds of things, checking lots of files, but you use a command line window, whereas the content analyzer provides the same kind of functionality, but has a user interface. So there's not a direct connection between the content analyzer and the command line checker, but that's what the different use cases of those tools are.
Okay. Does the content analyzer have an API interface so that content can be checked during the build process?
That would be something where you would use the command line checker. So if you want to check things during a build process or automate them in any way for some kind of a workflow, then you would use something like the command line checker or one of our SDKs. The content analyzer is really for people like project managers or editors who want to get an overview of the content and aren't developers. So developers are more likely to use a command line checker, and non-developers are more likely to use the content analyzer.
Okay, and a couple of sidebar questions, more requests. So any hope of getting a sidebar implementation for Lotus Notes web client?
Yeah, we'll have to investigate that. So it's always best to send in a feature request via support, and then we can have that discussion about feasibility and priority and everything. But so far there haven't been any other requests for that, so that's a new request so far.
Okay, and it's time for just one more question before we wrap up, and another request for Oxygen Eclipse.
Oxygen Eclipse, we do have a Classic Edition integration already, and we haven't yet started or decided on a sidebar integration. So Oxygen Eclipse, you can get that today. There's a download site for that, and you can check our documentation or ask support more about that.
Great. Well, it looks like we're at the top of the hour, and I want to thank the Acrolinx team today for this great presentation. And I would also like to thank everybody who took the time out of their day. And just as a reminder, both the recording and the slides will be available. You will be receiving an email from me tomorrow with all that great information. We look forward to speaking with you in the near future. And with that, have a great rest of the day.